Hey, I'm Tahnee. Today I'm going to teach you how to use Krita for animation. First, you're going to want to install Krita from krita.org. It is free software, so I do recommend it for anyone out there that's trying to get into animation or cannot afford fancy software such as TV Paint. Once you have Krita installed, you're going to want to put it into the animation workspace. We're going to do that by going to Window, Workspace, Animation. This is going to change the layout a bit, which makes it a little more convenient for working with animation. So to start, I'm going to make a new file. Typically, film formats are done at 1920 by 1080 square pixels, and that's what we're looking at here. So that is going to be the size that I make my document at. Now we have a timeline down here. We have our layers over here. We have tools up here. We've got advanced color selection over here, and animation controls down here. In the event that these are not showing up on the side, you're going to go to Settings, Dockers, and then Show Animation. I'm going to go over the UI elements just a little bit. For starters, we have layers on the left side, and this is going to work like any other drawing software like Photoshop. We can add and remove layers, turn them on and off, adjust transparencies, etc. For color selection, we can use this ring to adjust hue, and then we can use saturation and light and darkness by navigating within this triangle. Up here is where they have their brushes. They have a lot of really amazing selections, so I do recommend that you try them all out and get a feel for what you like. For starters, I'm going to go for a really basic painting tool that's just good for quick line work that's got pressure and transparency. If you want to get into finer control with the brush that you have selected, you could do so up in this panel. Back in the Layers panel, we will see that the amount of layers that we have and their names are mimicked down here. This is our timeline. This is how we're going to animate. You can scrub left and right a long time over here, and you can select which layer you want to draw on. Now I'm on layer 1. If I turn layer 1 off, which I could do from up here or down here, you can see what's there. I can also add other layers, and I'll draw on this in a different color. Can turn that off, turn that off. So it works just like any other painting program. Now we're going to talk about the timeline. So down here, we've got layer 1 is selected, and there's this little orange thing that shows us where we are in the timeline. That's the scrubbing tool. So I'm going to right click on here. I'm going to go create blank frame. Now if we scrub away, we'll see that there's a little orange outline. That means that this has got a keyframe. So we can do a scribble, or we could call it frame number 1. And now we're going to see that there's this line extending along the whole timeline. This line means that this frame is being held through the very end. So if I go to frame 3, we'll see that there's still this same drawing. So if I right click on frame 3, and if I go create blank frame, I could go drawing 2. Now we can go between them, and this is how you're going to be able to animate in here. We can either keep going create blank keyframe, or we can use the shortcut 8 to quickly add new keyframes. And the left and right button on your keyboard will allow you to scroll throughout the entire timeline. So if we want to make a whole bunch of different keyframes, we can either right click on a keyframe, go keyframes, insert multiple keyframes, and we can tell it we want however many we want. Frame timing 1. This means that they're going to be on 1s, meaning every single frame is going to have a keyframe. If we have it on 2, we're going to have it on every other frame. So here I'll show a demonstration of that. Here is 12 frames on 1s. I'm going to undo that. Right click, keyframes, insert multiple keyframes. 2. I'm going to put these on 2s. So now it's every single other one has a keyframe. Personally, I prefer to have it so that I have all new keyframes. So on 1s. So now we see a peculiar thing where we have this blank keyframe. There's nothing there, it doesn't have a hold. So I'm going to go ahead, and I know that this is drawing 1, 2, 3. I'm going to type in 4 here, and suddenly we have a hold. So we can see that that keyframe is being held. Frame 5, 6, 7. We can now scrub through these. And we can see some sort of animation or sequential art is happening here. I don't know that this is quite art, but hey, that's what we're starting with. So let's say that you wanted to make this hold a little longer. You can shift, or you can select, you can either shift select or drag to select all of these frames, and then holding Alt on the keyboard, you grab the very first frame that you want it to start with, and you can drag these anywhere on the timeline. So now you've got 4 holds significantly longer than before. We can select these, and then with that first one selected, drag and drop it back, change that timing. So another thing we can do is we can right click, we could go hold frames, insert a hold frame, and I will show you that I've set up a hotkey for that. Hold frame, insert hold frame. So now 5 and 6 are on what are considered 2s in animation. So let's say that we really liked, oh, we have a duplicate here somehow. I'm going to change that to a 6. That looks like maybe it's glitching a little. This is freeware. It is wonderful, but sometimes it's got its faults. Let's say I actually wanted to do an adjustment to this frame. So I've got the keyframe for 4 is here, and then I have a hold frame here. If you draw on a held frame, it's going to turn it into another keyframe. So I can go 4.1, 0.2. I know those numbers don't make sense, but whatever. So you get the point. You can keep adding to something by just drawing into the held frames. So let's say I wanted to duplicate these. I would then select them. I would hold down Control on the keyboard, grab the last frame, and drag that out, and I can make that duplicate as many times as I want. So if you have like tracebacks or something, that's a way of achieving that effect. Now let's say that I wanted to get rid of this one that has 4.1 on it. I could either hit delete and it will clear that keyframe and it'll turn it into a blank keyframe, or I can undo that. I can right click on it. I can go remove keyframe, and now 4 is being held. Or I can right click it and I could say remove frame and pull, and it's actually going to remove that entire frame completely from the timeline. So we're going to go straight from 4 to 4.1.2. Why is it being glitchy? Now that we have an idea on how the timeline works, I'm going to show you some hotkeys that I'm really fond of. So if we go Settings, Configure Krita, up here we've got General Keyboard Shortcuts. So I'm going to go to that. And then under Krita, we have Animation, Create Blank Keyframe. I think this is already a default, but if that's not already there, I do recommend having it as whatever you prefer, but I like using the number keys. Insert Hold Frame, that's the one where it adds the line, and it holds the frame, that's 7. Next keyframe, 0, previous keyframe, 9, place stop, space. I have it set up to do keyframes instead of just frames because frames are left and right, but if we are using keyframes, it'll actually go straight to the keyframes and skip the holds. So say I'm on 1 and I want to add in some holds, that's how we do that, and then I can skip to drawing number 2. Now let's say I wanted to insert a blank keyframe right in here, maybe I'm doing in-betweens, and hit 8, and then we've got a new blank keyframe. And if you are a Wacom user, you can also set these up for your express keys. You can do them for your touchstring. I also really prefer to have the pen have an erase option on the upper side or any of the buttons. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what's going on down here in the animation department. So we've got animation 0, that means we're on frame number 0. So I'm actually going to go in here and add a bunch of keyframes, so we can see what frame we're on. And then let's say this is start, so that means that we're going to start on frame 0 and then we're going to end on frame 100. So if we hit play right now, it's going to just keep playing until it gets to frame 100. And so if we're doing a shorter animation and we know that we've got things that go to about frame 8-ish, 7, 8, 8 drawings, we can tell it to stop maybe at frame 10 instead of 100. And then if we tell it to play, it'll only play within that sequence. We want to play back at 24 frames a second. This is typical for animated film, at least in America. Some other countries have got like 25 frames a second. Play speed, you want to do that at 1 because then you're seeing like the actual speed at which it's playing back at. Now let's talk a bit about Onionskins. So this little icon right here will bring up the Onionskins, and this is a super powerful tool. In fact, I'm going to dock it right down here by dragging and dropping it. And so we see it's got this weird little mountain, and this is representing all of the different frames. So the blue ones are the ones that are currently active. We can turn these on and off by tapping on them, and we can also adjust how bright they are. So okay, we launched this palette. Why don't we see any Onionskins? You have to turn it on down here. So if you select the light bulb, we'll now start seeing all of our Onionskins. So say we're over here on like the 3rd drawing, we can turn on and off these other drawings. And we can also adjust how bright or how dim they are. So it's a really, really cool tool. So now I'm going to walk us through a sample of a ball bounce animation. So I've got my layer 1 selected. I'm going to go here to frame 0. I'm going to just make a whole ton of keyframes. Keyframes, let's see, let's do 12 on 1. Sure, that sounds good. Have all of our blank frames working on layer 1. Go here. I prefer to start with kind of a blue color. So first I'm going to turn on my Onionskins so I have an idea of what I'm working on. And I'm going to do just a really simple ball bounce. Maybe I want it to... Oops, I ran out of frames. Since that happened, I can just hit the right button, make some more blank keyframes using 8, go back. Alright, so maybe I want it to splat. Splat. This is really rough. This is just for the sake of teaching you guys how to use the program. Again, I ran out of frames, so I'm going to just go ahead and make a few more. I can easily delete them later if I so choose. When I animate, I usually like to do them part by part by part instead of thinking about the whole thing all at once. Alright, cool. So these are just roughs. They're not supposed to be good. We get the idea there. Alrighty, so if we hit spacebar to play, well, first off, I know that I'm going to end this at around 21 drawings. So I'm going to go here, change the end to 21, start 0, looks good. Hit the play button. Alright, so that feels pretty decent, but maybe I want to push the timing a little bit more. I'm a big fan of adding in, adjusting the timing after the fact. So I'm going to just go through here. Maybe I want to have the first frames hold a little bit. We speed into it. Boing. Hold, hold, hold. Let's just see how that looks, or how it feels rather. Maybe I want to hold a bit at the end here too. And since I changed the timing and I added more, I'm actually going to end the sequence at 30 frames. Decided that's too many. So I'm going to remove keyframe and pull. It's going to be just a very slow process here. Move keyframe and pull. In fact, this last one is tripping me up because I keep seeing that last one hold. So I'm going to insert a new blank keyframe here, and that's just going to be the goo. Cool. Okay. so this is a decent enough little ball bounce for a demonstration. This is going to be my roughs layer. So now that I've got the timing and I have all of the drawings that I'm ever going to need for this animation, what I want to do is I want to do a cleanup layer. So the plan for this is to take this, duplicate the timing, but remove all of the drawings from it, but still use it as a guide. So I'm going to take this layer, which is currently layer 1, and I'm going to duplicate it. Duplicate. I'm going to take copy of layer 1. I'm going to name it roughs. I'm going to take layer 1. I'm going to name it clean. Clean in color, whatever you want. And I'm going to lock the roughs layer because we don't need to do anything with it anymore, and we also don't need to see it on the with its onion skin. So I'm going to turn off the light bulb there. So now all we're seeing is the clean layer. This presents a bit of a problem. We're still looking at the animation. So what I'm going to just do is hit delete. Next keyframe, delete, next keyframe. Do this, go through the whole sequence. There might be a quicker way of doing this, but I haven't discovered it yet. All right, so we still see it, but if we turn off the roughs layer, oops, we have completely blank keyframes on the clean layer. Actually, one more thing I want to do on the roughs layer is bring down its opacity. So it's like just straight up reference now. So I'm going to go on the clean layer, which is not locked. We've got the onion skin on, which we probably don't even need at this rate, but we'll leave it on for reference. See if we want to turn it on or off later. And I'm going to just pick a brush here. I'm going to pick this one. See, do I like that? Sure, that's fun. Advanced color selection. Let's go ahead and make this purple. That can be cool to use. All right. So first frame, I'm going to just go through and very quickly, very roughly color these guys in because this is just a demo. Also, check out how cool these brushes are. They're blending with the environment. They're actually really, Krita's a really nice painting tool. It's a little limited in its brushes, but oh my gosh, for something that's free, can't really beat it. Let's see here. The size on this is a little big. I'm going to swoop it down a bit. Get some of those details in there. Swoop. Swoop. Then I'm going to go one by one on here with these details. Gloop. Sometimes I see things in the rough, like you can see I'm painting a little off of it. Sometimes I decide to change stuff when I go in and do the final because the roughs are just rough reference. Paint. I'm looking for the green ones to see how many more frames are left. Because I think, yeah, this is going to be our last frame here. So you can see how far off I got on the rough there. I mean, this isn't too great either. I can go in and refine that. Oops, there's going to be some wiggle woggle, bubble and boil, but I mean, again, this is just a demonstration. So let's play that. Ah, alas, I left the roughs layer on. I'm going to turn that off, and now we can see how the clean layer looks. All right, that is decent. So let's say I want to add some color to this. I'm not too much of a line art person. It actually hurts my wrists a lot if I do line art, so I've really come into just painting everything, doing really rough lighting and shadow layers. So now I really don't need the onion skin on, so I'm going to turn that off. I am going to change the size of this brush back up. It was around 80-ish. And let's say I want to have like a nice kind of orangey yellow highlight. So I can just, I want to make it bright though. Tweak that. That looks cool. And I want to lock the transparency on this layer because right now if I paint, it's going to go all outside. So I want to make that a lot easier on myself. Lock the transparency. So now I can paint wherever I want. It's only going to fill in the shape that's there. So I'm going to just go do this really fast. And also, this is 24 frames a second. Like, these drawings are going to be flying by so fast, you don't have to be precious about them. I advise that you don't. Unless if you're going for some, like, really beautiful screenshot of a film or something that you're making, then really put the effort into those frames from that shot. But, really, like, you're going for gesture, you're going for essence, for feeling. As long as people feel it, that's all that matters. The individual frames, like, this is animation, it's not about individual drawings, which of course individual drawings will do much to contribute to great animation, but animation itself is an art, just like the focus of motion. So I'm going to play that back. Just going to think for a moment. That's cool. I'm going to add in shadows too. So let's say I want to do kind of like an indigo shadow. And how's that look? Alright, so that's pretty cool for just popping that out super, super fast. If I wanted to add in a shadow layer, I could do that as well, like an actual shadow layer. So I'm going to just take this layer, go back to layers, I'm going to duplicate it, I'm going to go copy of clean, I'm going to rename it to ball shadow. Alright, I'm going to lock the clean layer because I don't need that anymore. I'm going to untransparency lock this one because I want to go through and delete everything on it. I'm going to actually change the UI a little bit here. Can I scooch this? There we go. There it is. So, using the next and previous keyframes, I'm going to just go with ball shadow selected, delete, 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 delete. Okay. Now I'm going to find where it actually hits, which is this layer, or this frame. I'm going to go, well, I've got a nice teal selected now. I did that when no one was looking. Alright, so I'm going to paint in a basic shadow here, and then using that as reference, move about the other frames as I see fit. I could, I guess, use this to make sure things are going to line up. You see that goes up a little, that's not the best, but whatever. This is a demo. Okay, so let's take a look at our animation now. Cool. I'm pretty happy with this. So I'm going to save it. File, save as, go Krita demo 01. So let's say I wanted to, there's a couple of ways of exporting. I'll show you both of them. If you're going to be using software like After Effects and you want to take this and then pull it into another scene, or do some cool parallax effects, or do like anything with fancy filmmaking or effects, you can export this as a PNG sequence. So in order to do that, you go Render, File, Render Animation, and then you can go Image Sequence. First frame, last frame, so it already knows like what frame we've got selected as the last. File format, PNG image. We have all kinds of fun things to choose from. I'm going to stick with PNGs. In fact, because PNGs are cool, you can turn off the background layer, have the transparency. So this way, if we go and if we do PNG sequence, it's actually going to be able to give us transparency. So we can go in here, check out all of the details, store alpha channel, transparency, that's what we want. I'm going to just go Krita demo frames, starting at that image location. This is where you're going to save it. So I'm going to just make frames from demo. I'm going to select this folder. I'm going to go, okay. It's going to think for a minute. And now if I check out this folder, frames from demo, here are all of my frames. So you can take these and you can import them and sequence them in software like After Effects. And if you're interested in seeing a demo on that, I'm more than happy to do that. Just let me know in the comments. Haha! Comments, like, subscribe, whatever. And okay, so let's say you want to export this as an MP4. I'm going to turn the background back on, otherwise it's going to export as a black background. So this is just a plain white background. Feel free to paint something fancy if you like. One thing that you're going to need for this is ffmpeg. At least I'm working on a PC. I don't know how it works on Mac. There might be something different on there. And if you do know, let me know so I can write that in the comments or the detail. All right, so File, Render Animation. This time we're going to go Video. So first frame 0, 1920, 1080, 24 frames a second, last frame 30. That looks good to me. ffmpeg. So this is probably looking blank when you first pull it in. That's fine. What you're going to do is download ffmpeg from ffmpeg.org. Windows, I selected the Windows one, and so I got a little zip file, and I just took everything from the zip file and I threw it into, I made a new folder in program files for ffmpeg. I dropped everything in there. If you go inside the bin, you're going to find ffmpeg.exe. So I'm going to just take this, copy this path, go into Krita, pretend that I'm doing this for the first time, paste the path. Oh wait, actually I'm going to go up here, paste the path. There you go. There's the software. Okay. Render as MP4 video, and then video location. So create a demo. I'm going to go create a demo 01. Cool. It already picked that off of the file name. Go save. Go OK. Now if we go check out our file, here is the MP4. And there you have it. There's your little video. You can take this, you can upload it on Instagram, YouTube, wherever. I mean, this is very, very short. You can also just take this, import into editing software, string together, like make an actual film. Like you can make a whole film using Krita. And then like appropriate software. I guess if you're looking for free video editing software, I hear really good things about DaVinci. I haven't explored it myself yet, but I hear good things about it. And yeah. So one last thing, let's say we want to export this as a GIF. I'm going to go File, Render Animation. Again, you need to have ffmpeg installed for this. GIF image. And let's see. I also want to change the width of it because GIFs, you don't want to have HD GIFs. That's just absurd. GIFs take up a lot more space than video files. And so I'm going to do these automatically change. So 500 or 600, somewhere between 400 and 600 is probably a really good pixel size for your width. And I'm going to export that to the same place. Go OK. It's going to think about that for a minute. Doot, doot, doot. Oops. Oh my goodness. Look at all these frames. Okay. The frames went away as soon as it finished compiling the GIF. So we check it out. There's our GIF. So that's really cool. Now we know how to export PNG sequences, MP4s, GIFs, all from the comfort of Krita, which now we know how to use. So thank you very much for watching. And I hope this was informative. I hope you learned things, and I hope it was simple to understand. Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you want to have more tutorials like this. I do a lot of work in After Effects, so if you're interested in seeing some stuff to do with that, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye!